Hello, everybody. Happy Memorial Day for those in the States here. Um, so we got quite a bit to talk about tonight. We got a couple news. So we got a couple news articles we'll be going over, of course, from Bounding into Comics, the usual, wrestling. Well, we also had a big weekend in professional wrestling. We had 3 pay-per-views. We'll talk about those. Also, another big pay-per-view coming up this weekend. Anyways, as we're waiting for more people to show up, I'm gonna go off camera here for a moment and do this stuff real quick. But while I'm gone, I'll put some music on to entertain you guys while I'm taking care of a couple things. I'll be right back. All right. So, anyways, I hope everybody's having a good weekend thus far. I know many people are probably out barbecuing, but I hope some of you are catching me on as you're barbecuing or even on replay here. So had some interesting conversation last night when we had Rick Piper and Tim Olson in. We were talking about some of the storytelling faux pas from the Golden Age writings. Anyways, as we are of course just waiting for more people to show up, I hope everybody's, as I said, has had a good weekend. So, anyways, la di di da di da, la di di da di da, la di. Let's see. Get along, gang, get along, gang. Each one is special in their own way. Coming apart, get along, gang, get along, gang. Get up with a get along, gang. Everyone is okay. Get up with a get along, gang. Oh, get up with a get along, gang. Everyone is okay. Get up with a get along, gang. Oh. Anyways, let's see what we got here. See, we're actually at the 4 minute. Okay, 4.5 minute mark. All right, so here's pretty much what's on tap for today. We were talking about it earlier. So as I said, we got a couple articles we're gonna go over from Bounding into Comics. Um, First article we're gonna look at is Kodansha's official launch of the new English language K manga. I guess it's Korean manga distribution platform. Um, We're gonna also be talking a little bit about some underhanded stuff going on at Disney. Is apparently they're silencing Disney legends by duping them with the promise of work on new projects. We'll be looking at that little 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 scam. Anyways, all that being said, let's see what time is it now. It's almost 6 minutes in. So why don't we go ahead and get started then with the articles here. All right, so here's the first article we're going to look at tonight. So hopefully you're all ready for this. All right, Kodansha's official launch of new English language K manga distribution platform reveals censorship restricted pricing system. Article by Nerdigans Inc., published May 25th, which was this past Thursday, and it's in the manga section. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on here. So, hoping to join such fellow publishers as Shueisha and Kadokawa in the war against manga piracy, Kodansha has officially launched their new English language K manga distribution. So I guess it means Kodansha, not Korean. Okay, but unfortunately for fans, the publisher's final product it had revealed itself to be less than customer friendly. As previously announced, K-Manga's full library grants its users access to approximately 400 of the publisher's series, including 70 currently running simulpubs. Completed works available for perusal include Hajime Isayama's Attack on Titan and Ken Wakui's Tokyo Revengers, while simulpubs on offer feature such series as Kaneshiro Muniyuki and Nomura Yusuke's Blue Lock and Nakaba Suzuki's Four Nights of the Apocalypse. Per a Kodansha rep who spoke directly to Bounding into Comics, not only are more simulpubs planned to join the service in the future, including Negi Haruba's Ranger Reject, but the publisher is also developing a creator partnership program akin to Shueisha's Manga Plus in order to facilitate development of even more new serializations. There's I guess, some artwork from Tokyo Revengers. Alongside the platform's launch, K-Manga project leader Yuta Hirauka revealed that this new platform represents Kodansha's commitment to combating piracy. Quote, we, in brackets Kodansha, are a publisher that serves as a link between manga artists and readers, unquote, Hirauka proclaimed. Quote, we will continue to strengthen our efforts to protect manga artists from piracy and other forms of copyright infringement, including traceability of translations, unquote. The publisher also confirmed to Bounding into Comics in order to prevent mistranslations in their localizations, they are currently working on a new system which will improve the accuracy of their own releases. This will include a quality check team dedicated to double-checking translations and eliminating errors, as well as overall strengthening of their quality control system. I wonder if this is also a way that they're going to try to curb some of the Western localizers as well. In terms of how they try to pull some stuff off. Oh, there's a nice look at. I believe that's from Fairy Tale too. I think that's Lucy Hartfield on the blonde there, and the redhead looks like Urza Scarlet. Not sure who the blue-haired girl is, but let's see. Lucy Hartfield, Edward, and Huvia. Okay, Lockster. Um, strike a pose on Mashijima's cover of Fairy Tale Chapter 129. Okay. Unfortunately for readers, it seems K manga doesn't make accessing these titles easy. Well, well, I mean, okay. The problem here is if you're gonna sit there and try to combat piracy, you should make sure that it's accessible, or else people are just gonna go back to just pirating it. I mean, part of the thing about piracy is it does make things more accessible, more convenient. You know. While users will have free unlimited access to most of the first few chapters of K-Manga's 400 titles, as well as daily access to a rotating selection of promotional chapters, the service features a dual tiered ticket system for renting or purchasing respective releases. Modeled after its Japanese counterpart, um, rather than a monthly subscription service, once a day users are granted a free normal ticket, which can then be used to unlock a 3-day reading window for a single chapter of any series labeled a K manga original. All right. Meanwhile, um, through login bonuses and viewing ads, users um, can also earn the daily allotment of 3 to 4 premium tickets, which can be used to temporarily unlock a single chapter of any of the platform titles, um, unlike their normal variants. These premium tickets have an expiration date. This mechanic ultimately, I think the word they're looking for is actually mechanism. But this mechanism ultimately allows readers to check out a total of 4 to 5 chapters of manga per day free of charge. Readers can also access chapters by purchasing quote unquote points. Exchange at a rate of 100 points for every $1. These points can be obtained through either a direct cash exchange, watching advertisements up to 3 a day for a total of 150 points, and completing specific tasks such as reading a designated manga or checking out one of K Manga's affiliated partners. Yeah, so they're wanting to make it easier, but yet they also trying to make you work for reading. That's cool. Hey, Jason. And as always, guys, of course, if you haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to look at the stuff. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. Let's see now. I just cut. Let's see. What's your favorite Masume's? I don't have one. And then let's see. What's your favorite Korean anime? Don't know too many Korean animes. I think I only know of one, and it's been a while. I can't even remember the title of it now. Um, it's been a few years since I actually saw it. So, um, anyways, back to the article here. From there, these points can be spent to unlock further manga chapters, though prices vary depending on the series and individual chapters' length, as well as the amount of time that has passed since it was first released. For example, an ongoing manga released in 20-page installments could require 69 points for older chapters and 99 points for its latest release. Users can also purchase a number of chapters en masse for a discount. Mhm. Yeah, this is it's stuff like this, so that's part of the reason why people pirate, because people don't people just want to be able to read the stuff. They don't want to jump through hoops just to read manga or comics. You know. However, as opposed, the chapters unlocked by via tickets, those obtained by points will remain indefinitely accessible in the purchasing user's account. All right. Um, well, I mean, I guess that's one vantage point. I guess one advantage. Yeah. Once a reader has redeemed their points to unlock a chapter, they can access it indefinitely through their account. Um, Unlike Shueisha or Viz's services, users will not have free access to the latest chapters, not even for the first 24 hours after its release, a la Japanese competitor services Komaiki and Comic Walker of K Manga's Simulpub series, but will instead be required to spend points to read them. Now, the thing is, though, is that people are not going to want to, part of the reason people pirate is for the convenience. They don't want to have to jump through hoops to be able to read or watch things. Further, K manga has also been discovered to feature censorship of some of its offerings. A notable example of these edits can be seen applied to a love scene present in Kei Sasuga's Domestic Girlfriend, as shared by Twitter user at Manga Alerts, wherein a solid black bar is used to cover up a woman's bare breast. I kind of think I've seen something like that. I mean, you would think though that people who are, if they are going to make the purchase or get the points or whatever, they're going to want the whole experience. They're not going to want to be censored from it. Okay. Asked about this censorship, Kodansha explained to Bounty in the comics that in our order to comply with the Android and iOS terms of service, they will have to make quote unavoidable modifications unquote to content on the K manga mobile app. Kodansha did promise that the desktop version of K manga would remain uncensored, but as of writing, the alternative remains in development. So what they're saying here is that if you're going to use your phone to read the manga, expect it to be censored. Only way to get the uncensored version is to use your use a laptop or a desktop type computer. Presently, K manga is only available exclusively on iOS and well, that's a bit of a problem too in the United States. But Hiraka has assured readers that the dev team is working to make the platform accessible worldwide as soon as possible. Quote, we, in brackets Kodansha, are starting with US only for now, unquote, explained the project lead. Quote, however, we know that there are Kodansha manga readers all over the world who want to try K manga and read the latest Simulpub chapters. Um, we hear you, and we are doing our best to make K manga available in your countries as soon as we can. Unquote. To commemorate the launch of K manga, Kodansha, I guess Kodansha is a Korean company, I guess. Hmm. Hmm. Let's see. Kodansha will be live streaming a premiere party on Thursday, June 22nd. Well, that's a few weeks from now. Themed around the stories behind the stories, quote unquote. Um, the event will consist of appearances by famous manga artists, behind the scenes stories from Kodansha's editorial department, and exclusive giveaways for the viewers. As a future gift to fans, K manga users will have unlimited access to the entirety of Attack on Titan, Fairy Tail, and Tokyo Revengers until 11/9. Okay, well, maybe they're not. Okay. Presumably November 9th, as per the Japanese date format. Though some chapters will require tickets to unlock. And the idea is, in combating piracy, they want to in combating piracy, they want to make it harder for people to get. I know they're trying to fight off piracy and trying to make sure the manga artists get their money, but at the same time, they're going to drive more fans to pirate if fans have to sit here and jump through these hoops. Editor's note for May 25th, 2023. Following publication of this piece, a Kodansha rep reached out to Bounty in the comments to offer the following response to the above criticism of their pricing plan. So this is a response, I guess, to the article. Quote, we have always wanted to maximize payment to authors who put in a great deal of effort to produce their works. This has been our corporate policy for over 100 years. It is our minimum obligation to create an environment where authors use their creative talents to concentrate on their work as well as lead a fulfilling life. At the same time, it is our role to create an ecosystem that will produce many star authors who will become the object of admiration for many people. Basically, they want to be able to pay. Basically, what they're saying here and what they said there, and that is that I think they said they want to basically make sure that the manga artist can focus on their work and live a relatively comfortable life. The current system in which users pay for works they wish to support is a system in which authors of great works are rewarded more and in a more equitable manner. In Japan, Kodansha is a Japanese company, my bad. In Japan, we use a system that is exactly the same as K manga, and we have been able to share the fruits of its success with our authors. Based on this philosophy, we compensate authors for purchase of their works with free points distributed within the service in the same way that we compensate authors for the purchase of their works with paid points. They're paying everybody with points. Even if the user does not spend any money, if he or she spends a little time and effort, we will be able to reward authors for their work. In addition, with tickets that allow limited access for 72 hours, which can be obtained daily, it is possible to try out at least half of all the works. We believe that in this way, by allowing readers to experience as many works as possible without having to pay for them, we can ultimately maximize the rewards to authors. We hope you will understand the K-manga system for supporting authors, which cannot be achieved through a subscription model. Unquote. So they feel that they can better distribute the money this way to the authors, what it sounds like, than than a subscription model. Quote, point subscriptions are scheduled on the web. Please refer to the details of the point subscriptions on the browser version once it has been launched, since the prerequisite is that all works published in Weekly Shonen Magazine will be able to be simulcast. We would like to aim for this eventually, but currently there is no clear end goal. Is the that time I got reincarnated as a slime manga. So there we go with that one. So if you're a manga reader, Kodansha is trying to combat piracy by making it harder for you to access the material. So weigh that as you wish. So, anyways, get ready to move on to the last article we're going to go over tonight. I said we're only gonna read up on 2 articles here. And again, with it being the holiday weekend, I don't think the writers are really. So this is the other one that kind of caught my attention. Movies, television. There's more along. Of course, they're looking at from the Snow White movie from I think it was 37. So let's see now. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this now. This article now. The Walt Disney Company reportedly silencing Disney legends by dooming them with the promise of work on new projects. Article by John F. Trent, published May 27, which is this past Saturday, the movies, television, and theme park segment. So, a new rumor claims that the Walt Disney Company silencing a number of their Disney legends by pretending to offer them opportunities to work on new projects, but in reality, sidelining them and using a new contract to keep them from criticizing the company. So basically, what it sounds like they're doing, they're basically getting them under contract so they can keep them from saying anything. For those unfamiliar with the term Disney Legends, unquote, it's a Hall of Fame program created by the Walt Disney Company in 1987 and inducts new members annually. Some well-known members of Disney Legends include Dick Van Dyke, Tim Allen, Kurt Russell, Julie Andrews, Roy Williams, Bill Walsh, Carl Banks, Ollie Johnston Jr., Frank Thomas. There's been a few Frank Thomases out there. There's at least 2 in baseball, but Frank Churchill, Phil Collins, Jim Henson, Jody Benson. Jody Benson, who the other day came out in support of the changes made to the live action Little Mermaid movie, mind you. Johnny Depp, Mark Hamill, Stan Lee, John Favreau, James Earl Jones. Well, of course, Stan Lee and James Earl Jones. Well, I know Stan Lee's obviously passed on. I don't know about James Earl Jones. Robert Downey Jr., Hans Zimmer, Idina Menzel. Those are some of the people who are considered "quote unquote" Disney legends. According to Scooper WDW Pro, not a wrestling organization, I take it, but with something else altogether. Many of the Disney legends who might otherwise have been critical of the company are being silenced. He explains, quote, Disney, we are told, has been going to Disney legends, people who worked with the company for a very long time, have extremely storied careers, names that you would know, and Disney is hiring these individuals or has been hiring these individuals over the last number of years, hiring them for one purpose, unquote. So let's say that it's a project that they have brought them on, and those legends believe they're going to be a part of doing something big, something tremendous. And then the company, we are told, has been sidelining those legends, that they don't actually end up working on the project at all, even if they're credited, unquote. WDW Pro elaborates. So basically, what they're doing is they're basically saying, "Hey, look, we want to sign you, we want to get you in on this project." The whole thing behind that is if they're under contract, then they can't really. It's like as part of the contract, they can't say anything bad about the company. They can't be critical of the company publicly, which is a pretty, especially when you're talking about some of those legends who are still alive. Some of them are pretty old, and you know, and I'm sure some of them, like Tim Allen. Well, Tim Allen's not super old, and Tim Allen's a well-known conservative. Um, so I'm sure he probably had some things to say about some of the current stuff coming out from Disney, and so they promise him, they try to sign him to a contract to where he couldn't really talk about anything. Well, and that those Disney legends then are simply signed to the contract to control their speech because the contract forbids them from speaking negatively about the company, and thereby these legends have been brought into the fold to work on things, believing that they're back in the game, and then the truth is that their okay, I think they forgot to put the R in there. I think that's supposed to. They're farther, not father, removed from the game than ever before. Unquote. He continued. So that is kind of a messed up way of doing things. Basically, they don't want bigger names like somebody like a Dick Van Dyke or Tim Allen coming out and trashing them. You know, or even Jody. Even though in Jody Benton's case, what they probably basically did, they instead of just simply silencing her, they just basically told her, "Hey, look, you want to work on this project? You want to have some association with this project? Then you go out and you praise it." That's another thing they're probably doing. Quote, Disney using these contracts simply as a way to silence those who made the company what it is, unquote. WDW Pro reiterates. Yeah, that is kind of a messed up way of doing things. Anyways, let's see now. All right, I do need to go off. I'm going to go off camera here for a quick moment. I'll be right back. But what I will do, put some music on while I'm gone. All right. Be right back. All right, I'm back. I had to take care of something real quick there. Hey, JR. Hail Xenu and Princess Xena. Hey there, JR. JR Exner's here. If you haven't already, if you can, of course, like and share the thing, see if we can get some more friendly people in here. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer them to the best of our ability. So basically, what we're talking about here, of course, Apparently, Disney is hiring, some of their legends, as they call them, some of the people who were elected to their Hall of Fame, for the sole purpose of keeping them silent, to keep them from criticizing anything they're doing right now. Later in the video, who would detail what his sources have informed him again, quote, the way this is working for these individuals, we are told, the way this is working for individuals of an older age who are being brought back under contract to work on these things is that they don't work on them then, unquote. Quote, they're shelved immediately and then they understand that they are retired. Let's say, unquote. WDW Pro relays, quote, and given that they are on a degree of wealth, they cannot easily be expanded because once you reach a certain age, you're living off of that which you have required. These individuals are hesitant to break their contract, to break their NDA, to do anything that would make Disney less Disney go after these Disney legends retirement. In other words, basically, this is what they're particularly for the older ones who are retired. They're getting shelved, and then because they're under contract, they're again with that contract. There's an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, meaning they can't talk about any of the projects, good, bad, or indifferent. They can't. So if they go out and criticize them, then what Disney can do is they can sue them for breach of contract and go after their retirements, which is just very, very messy, very poopy, as it were. This is just kind of a real messed up way of treating people, by the way. This isn't the first time Disney has been accused of doing such a thing. Back 2017, long-time Kermit the Frog puppeteer Steve Whitmire, who played the character since 1990 after Jim Henson's death, appeared on Today, where he addressed his firing from the role and noted that Disney attempted to get him to sign an NDA. Whitmire detailed at one point that the Walt Disney Company offered him what he described as quote unquote consolation prizes. He explained, quote, they were also offering me things that I sort of called consolation prizes. They were going to honor me, give me Disney Legends awards, things like that, but that required signing a NDA, unquote. Quote, and what they really wanted was for me to frame this as I moved on and that I had retired. And it was just disingenuous. I couldn't bring myself to do it, unquote. Yeah. This sounds like an article I may go over with again with the guys on Sunday because this sounds like a very interesting article that really needs to be talked about. Really needs to be because it's poopy type behavior. What do you make of this rumor that Disney is silencing its Disney legend? Well, if it is true, then it is pretty poopy. Okay, it's pretty stinky. If that is indeed what they're doing, that's kind of baloney. They shouldn't be doing that. You know, um, that's just wrong. All right. So, anyways, that's all for the articles we have for tonight. But as I said, we do have quite a bit of wrestling news to go over. As of course, this past weekend there were like three big events that have three big pay per views. Impact Wrestling's Under Siege pay per view happened, um, on Friday from London, Ontario. And then on Saturday in Saudi Arabia, WWE held its Night of Champions event. And then on Sunday, last night, of course, there was a Double or Nothing event from AEW. So, with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and talk about those a little bit and some of the fallout from those events? So let me find that. Okay. First off, on the countdown show to under so we're going to start with Under Siege, which happened from the Western Fair District and Agriplex in London, Ontario, Canada. Two matches on the pre-show there, in which in a non-title match, the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, the Coven of Kylan King and Taylor Wilde, were defeated by the current incarnation of the Death Dolls of Jessica and Courtney Rush, the light incarnation. The tag team known as the Death Dolls, formerly known as Havoc and Rosemary, respectively. Recently, went Havoc became Jessica, last year, last summer, and then now Rosemary has become Courtney Rush, and Weather in their darker incarnations as Havoc, and Rosemary in their light incarnation, as it were, of Jessica and Courtney Rush. It looks like either way, they're a legit threat to the Knockouts tag team titles of Kylan King and Taylor Wilde. This being Taylor Wilde, I think, third reign as Knockouts tag team champion, and Kylan King's first. So, and then in the main event of the countdown show was Joe Hendry defending and retaining the digital media championship over via disqualification over Dirty Dango, as it was recently revealed that Dirty Dango was the one who was behind the attacks on Director of Authority Santino Marella. Of course, unfortunately, Dango decided to utilize a low blow right in front of the ref, mind you, to get out of the situation. And then as he continued to try to beat down Joe Hendry, we got the return of the Director of Authority himself, which would be a key thing, as what we would come to find out later on the event, of course. With that, now with that, after that, let's go ahead and take another look at. Let's go ahead and talk about what happened on the event itself. As Under Siege itself, let's see, there weren't any titles. All the titles were retained. Let's see. Nick Aldis defeated Kenny King to open up the show. And then it was revealed, and then there was a 6-man match between the Design and Sammy Callahan, Rich Swan, and a mystery partner to take on the Design. That mystery partner turned out to be Jake Christ, who was a part of a faction with Sammy Callahan, known as Ohio versus Everyone. So they were, Jake Christ came in to team with Sammy Callahan and Rich Swann to defeat the Design. In her first pay-per-view match, upon signing with TNA, Trinity defeated Giselle Shaw after Giselle Shaw answered Trinity's open challenge. Ace Austin and Chris Bay, known as ABC, the Ace and Bay Club, retained their tag titles over the team known as Subculture of Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews. Trey Miguel retained the X Division title over Chris Sabin. Alex Shelley would become the number one contender by winning the six-way match over Eddie Edwards, Frankie Kazarian, Jonathan Gresham, Moose, and Yuya Uemura. Deonna Purrazzo would defeat Jordan Grace, retaining the Knockouts world title against Jordan Grace, which means now, as long as during this current, as far as I know, it's during this current reign. As long as Deonna Purrazzo currently holds the Knockouts Championship, Jordan Grace cannot challenge for it again during, as far as I understand it, this current reign. This does, of course, open the door for Trinity to possibly be challenging Deonna Purrazzo. And, of course, Steve Maclin would retain the Impact World title in a no DQ match against PCO in a very violent and bloody match. But big news came after the match with the return of Bubba Ray Dudley, as Steve Maclin basically was trying to play some kind of power play on Scott D'Amore, claiming that no matter what position that D'Amore had in the company, Maclin was technically his boss. Bubba Ray came in and jumped D'Amore from behind, and the two of them powerbombed D'Amore through a flaming table. PCO as well as the Motor City Machine Guns came out and tried to save him, but keep them from being but now Maclin, his next opponent, should be happening, from what I understand, at the next pay-per-view in a couple weeks here, against all odds. Maclin will be defending against Alex Shelley. So, and then as I said, Trinity will probably be most likely challenging for the Knockouts title in the near future here. So that's pretty much what we have for you on the Impact Wrestling, on the that event. So on Saturday, WWE held its Night of Champions event in Saudi Arabia. Let's see, from the Jeddah Superdome in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, WWE held its Night of Champions, in which many of the titles were defended. Actually, they did have a new crowning, as the finals of the World Heavyweight WWE World Heavyweight title occurred, with Seth Rollins defeating AJ Styles. Now, it was I previously reported on this, and now they've apparently corrected this, but apparently this World Heavyweight title will have its own lineage. As I previously, I was led to believe that this would be connected to the big gold belt that was from 2002. But now it's being said that they will be going ahead to and have this particular title will have its own lineage. Anyways, I've got to make some lighting adjustments here, so I'll be right back. I'm going to turn on some music for you guys. All right. So, anyways, as I said, we do have some more news coming out of. So, Trish Stratus defeated. There were 3 women's matches, 2 of them title matches. Trish Stratus defeated Becky Lynch. Also, Gunther retained the Intercontinental title over Mustafa Ali. Asuka defeated Bianca Belair, becoming the new Raw Women's title. So there's one title change right there. And that will probably also open the door for maybe Bianca Belair to challenge for the SmackDown Women's title now that she no longer has the Raw Women's title, as Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley were basically drafted the other brand. So you had Bianca Belair, who was the Raw Women's title holder, who is now on SmackDown, and Rhea Ripley, who was the SmackDown Women's title holder, now on Raw. And Rhea Ripley actually retained her title over Natalya. So maybe, again, as I said, this will probably be some way to set up a chance for Bianca Belair. And recently Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley did kind of come face to face after the last pay-per-view. So we'll have to wait and see how that all. Brock Lesnar defeated Cody Rhodes by referee's decision, forcing him to pass out from the pain of being locked in a Kimura lock. And in the main event for Night of Champions, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn retained the Raw and the Unified Tag titles over the Bloodline members of Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. Now, here's some big news that came out of that match as well. So, after a referee bump, the Usos, Jey and Jimmy Uso, came out to help Roman. Now, there had been some tension brewing in the Bloodline as Roman had been really on the Usos for losing the tag titles in the first place to Zayn, and he's really on Jey and Jimmy, and they finally just had it. After a missed double super kick to I think Zayn, that connected with Solo Sikoa. Roman Reigns kind of went off on them, and then Jey finally just said enough is enough. So the Usos just said, something, brother, screw you, we're gone. And he super kicked Roman for Owens and Zayn to get the win by pinning Sikoa. So there's also a rumor going about that Rikishi may actually get involved now with the Bloodline. He may be coming in to help settle things, as of course Jey and Jimmy are Rikishi's sons. Roman, I believe, is the son of Alpha Anoa'i. But we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see. Let me see now. So, let's see now. So, what more can we? So that was Night of Champions. So now let's talk a little bit about what happened on last night's Double or Nothing. As some stuff came out from that as well. And I guess we're gonna probably go a little over an hour tonight, as there was just a lot more stuff going on here. The last night's Double or Nothing event happened in Vegas, of course. The buy-in featured one match in which it was Ethan Page teaming with the Guns, Austin and Colton, to take on Hook and the Hardys. If the Hook and Hardys won, Matt would gain control of Ethan Page's contract in a way of getting back at him for when Ethan Page had Matt Hardy's contract. And lo and behold, Hook and Hardys actually did win, as Hook was able to hook on the Red Rum, the kind of Hajime, the half Nelson choke on Ethan Page to get the win. And Ethan Page was chapping like a drunk man, chapping out real fast. Didn't take too long once Hook got it locked in that Ethan Page. So now Ethan Page's contract belongs to Matt Hardy. So that's going to be probably a little bit entertaining to watch how Matt gets his revenge on on Ethan Page for that little stunt. So, anyways, now that was the buy-in. That was basically the buy-in / pre-show. So, what happened at Double or Nothing, the event itself? Let's talk about that a little bit. So, Orange Cassidy retained the international. The international title was put up in a 21-man blackjack battle royal. And in that match, of course, Orange Cassidy had retained over the likes of the Varsity Athletes, Naturally Limitless, Best Friends, Mogul Affiliates, Kip Sabian, Blood and the Butcher, the RH World Champion, and so on and so forth. So, Orange Cassidy retained in a 21-man blackjack battle royal. Adam Cole would defeat Chris Jericho via referee's decision in their unsanctioned match, with Sabu as a special guest enforcer. With Mark Briscoe as special referee, FTR retained the AEW World Tag Team titles over Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Wardlow retained the TNT title in a ladder match over Christian Cage. One of two title defense, both having in the women's. So Tony Storm was able to defeat Jamie Hayter. Now, as I understand it, because I was looking at the roster page earlier on Wikipedia, take that for what it's worth. Apparently, the shoulder injury that the Hayters, it actually is a legit shoulder injury. That's probably why they took the title off of Hayter, because Hayter was still pretty good champion. But Storm defeated Hayter in 3 minutes and 3 seconds. The House of Black retained the World Trios titles in an open house match over Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed. Jade Cargill actually defended her title twice. So she defeated Taya Valkyrie in 8 minutes 47 seconds. But then I guess her ego got the better of her, because from what I heard, I didn't see the match itself, but from what I heard, she decided to issue an open challenge. And the person to answer that open challenge was Chris Statlander, making her return to AEW, in which she defeated Jade Cargill and ending Jade's undefeated streak at 61. 61-1 now. Now, there had been talk for the last few months that they were going to have Statlander defeat Cargill for the TBS title. So now we'll see how that plays out. Now, according to WrestleMania, Jade Cargill may be taking some time off. AEW might be looking to repackage her possibly as a face. We'll have to wait and see how that all turns out. I, for one, am glad, because as a fan, I think that whole I'm that bitch angle was really played out and really was upsetting a lot of people. MJF retained the world heavyweight world title in a 4-way match over the other pillars. And the Blackpool Combat Club, with some help from Konosuke Takeshita, having betrayed the Elite, defeated the Elite in the Anarchy in the Arena match. So that's all that happened this past weekend. Now, what's coming up this weekend is another big event, as the NWA will be holding its Crockett Cup this weekend, the June 3rd and 4th, from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Jim Crockett Promotions country, JCP country territory, in the Mid-Atlantic area. Let's see. Among the teams, of course, that will be competing in the tournament include, of course, the NWA World Tag Team Champions, NWA World Tag Team Champions, La Rebellion, as well as as well as as well as the United States Tag Team Champion, Country Gentlemen. You have Tyrus and Chris Adonis, NWA World Champion Tyrus and two-time national champion Adonis teaming up to participate in the tournament. You also have team calling those Cut Above, being NWA World Television Champion Tom Latimer teaming with Rhett Titus. Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch will also be participating in the tournament. You have to be careful because with most of the teams that Murdoch's been, they've been known to use the high-low as a finisher. With of course, as some of you may remember from Murdoch's time in the WWE, in which he and the late Lance Cade were two-time WWE World Tag Team Champions. Murdoch himself, a two-time world and national champion in the NWA. Some of the matches already signed for night one of the Crockett Cup. Include EC3 defending the National Heavyweight Championship against Silas Mason, Throwbilly Silas, with his main squeeze, Pollo Del Mar, in his corner. And in a hardcore team war match, the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champions, team calling themselves M95 of Maddie and Mr. Kate, teaming with La Rosa Negra and Samantha Starr, the baby doll in their corner, take on all four members of the Pretty Empowered, Ella Envy, Roxy, and the Page sisters, Kenzie and Kylie. Kenzie Page being, of course, the current NWA World Women's Television Champion. And, of course, in two separate combinations, Pretty Empowered has been world tagging, one with LNV and Kenzie Page, and the other with LNV and Roxy. So, and then in a last chance 4-way tag team match in which these four teams will be participating for the final spot for the 24th seat in the Crockett Cup. And there was initially announced 26 teams would be participating, but it looks like it's going to be more like 27. The teams of the Outrunners of Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd, Miserably Faithful of Gags the Gimp and Sal the Pal, Daisy Hill and Talos and Eric Jackson and Jeremiah Plunkett with Danny Deals in their corner. Well, these four teams will be competing to see who will get the final seed of the in the Crockett Cup. I also believe that former NWA World Tag Team Champions from before the Lightning One era, also the Heat Seekers, will also be participating in the tournament, as they did participate in the tournament last year as well. So a lot of stuff happening here this weekend in terms of that. Let's see, on night two, already scheduled for night two, let's see, Kenzie Page will be defending the World Women's Television title on night two. There'll be a number one contender 6-man scramble match there'll be a 6-man scramble match for the number one contender to the NWC, who will next challenge Kerry Morton for the World Junior Heavyweight. Those participants have not been announced yet. And Camille will be defending the World Women's title over Natalia Markova. That's going to be a very hard-hitting match going on. So that's pretty much what's been going on in the world of wrestling there. And with that, I know we're already past the hour here, so we'll start to wind down a bit here. Today being Monday, May 29th, 2023. Let's take a look back at this day in Niche history. History! So first off, I'd like to wish a happy 70th birthday, as we shall bring this up. I'd like to wish a happy 70th birthday to American composer, singer, and songwriter Danny Elfman and American singer and actress Carla DeVito. Both turned 70 today. Some of you may have seen Danny Elfman's credits because he's done he's composed theme songs for shows like The Simpsons, Beetlejuice, Batman the Animated Series, Family Dog, and Dilbert. He was the singing voice of Jack Skellington in The Nightmare Before Christmas. And as for Carla DeVito, she lent her voice to the roles of Miranda Wright in Bonkers, Athena in the Phantom 2040 episode, A Boy and His Cat, and of course Cassidy, the new Batman Adventures episode, Torch Song. Let's see, she was also Lady Megan, Elizabeth, and Princess Disa in The Legend of Prince Valiant, among others. So happy 70th birthday to Carla DeVito and Danny Elfman. So that happened today. Getting ready to move on. Hey, Rick, if you can like and share the stream, that would really help out. We're almost done. So you might want to go back and watch the replay to catch up on what we talked about. One of the articles here may be one of the ones I may bring up to talk about with the group on Sunday for the weekend edition. So you might want to check out what the one about Walt Disney and how they're hiring some of the old quote unquote legends to sound some. But anyways, moving on to the next piece of niche history. After wishing Danny Elfman and Carla DeVito a happy 70th birthday. As we move ahead to 1963. And on this date in 1963, the 45th issue of Showcase went on sale from DC Comics. Sold for 12 cents at that point, 32 pages. The story featured in there was Sergeants Aren't Born, as it kind of gives a bit of an origin story for Sergeant Rock, talking about basically his early career in the Army, as from his enlistment to his time as a private to his time being promoted to sergeant. The story was, of course, written by Robert Kanier with art by Joe Kubert. It was reprinted in Our Army at War number 275, as well as DC's special and Sergeant Rock specials. So on this date, 60 years ago today, the 45th issue of Showcase, went on sale on this date. And finally, on this date in 1973, 50 years ago today, on this date 50 years ago today, Jerry Briscoe and Thunderbolt Patterson defeated Gene and the Andersons for the NWA Atlantic Coast Tag Team Championship. This was, of course, the precursor to the Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Championships at the time, before Jim Crockett Jr. took over his father's company and changed the name of the company to Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. So on this date, back 50 years ago, back in 1973, Jerry Briscoe and Thunderbolt Patterson. Yes, the same Jerry Briscoe who was one of Mr. McMahon's stooges, by the way, just in case you didn't know that. This is when he was in his prime, back in 73. They defeated the Anderson brothers, Gene and Ole Anderson, for the NWA Atlantic Coast Tag Team Championship, which was the precursor to the So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. We'll be back here tomorrow night for more Niche News. This Friday, of course, I will have Terry from Mighty Geek Studios on as my co-host. We'll be looking back to comics that went on sale in October 1939, focusing this week on quality comics. And from what I previewed today, we'll be showing you guys the origin of Dollman among the features we'll be reading. So with that, I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.